2, 1. Adventure towards warming, it causes extinction. Uncertainty over the tipping point threshold means it's never too late, never increment reduction matters. Minus 20 heat is so extreme, edible to have food and seeds, each are hotter than last two pushes for the unoxygen with ocean depths, poisonous. Sulfite vents in the immersive reaction, and then plane planes bombarded by UV deserts extending to the north. Option candidates heat so intense precipitation evaporates, source of blown away into dust, storms up. The first casualty of extinction will be the last consumers made. So much so quickly augmented by feedback, secure greenhouse spread of the virus racing. No specialized winter greenhouse moves each year to initiate the which rough ship for third, strip the earth of water, burn low, and acid bits of fossil fuel, take start cooling clouds, dissipation of CO2, surrounding sheets reflect 60% of radiation, equally important with CO2 threshold across the shadow cumulative breakup, time to stress by 8 degrees effect, acid feedback switches the earth over to greenhouse state, the murky burning fossil fuels eventually gets to the superimposed parallax now just the first species, but the entire planet personally just to return home and keep the building over the coast and cars and trailing have a degree makes a huge difference. 1.7 billion exposed doubly face solutions behind 100% have a degree makes a difference with heat extinction. No nuclear system, you're not yet tuned the pathway to thermal wind, solar nuclear, we can reduce consumption, fly less than switch, lectures not too late, never we just 1.5 degrees better than so 2 degrees better than 2.5, and so on. Every molecule of abatement matters. Warming is anthropogenic, fast, underestimated, and carbon alone triggers self-perpetuation and acidification. Tailored all 24 every day we will add warming carbon makes the ocean acidic. Survival species will be threatened to swap food web sources not able to adapt to rapid acidity process naturally for millennia to avoid hardly the food ability to must be reduced with likely coral to have thought, but professor abrupt ice would equal 51 times all the cascade of birth on Earth on a hot house path before it takes another another systems break down with the human life into possible to adapt the measures we not be politically tactically feasible. IAMs or arbitrary models or bounds are ad hoc with empirical foundations. Estimating based on past weather models and nuclear feedbacks of record is HHGC cause higher damns the current model given the present corporate rate is no precedent climate could be modeled that APCC too short to enable forecast 80% of warming from emissions yet to emerging eyes. IPCC the highest GHG pathways now close will future emissions might be high and may become likely due to missing feedbacks. Low emissions in your system facing out fossils not academically feasible. Probability of obsession makes little sense when you're in a unique situation possible that is impossible. Probably this is impossible, and from Ross or failing natural system sciences, including sea temps or reducing cloud reducing decreasing healthy five filters across Africa. These were predicted only after 2050. Wetlands reducing GGs faster than most consider a market shutdown. IPCC just not good. Adaptation is unsustainable, and uncertainty warrants caution. Not complacency. In 24, the declininity collapses currently. For example, even at 13 degrees, people grow crops in their places. For the DC charges to adapt to skepticism claims about climate first assertion climate does not pose existence of the they tested claims there is a lack of research. Hard times elitists should be cautious. Climate scientists with cancer seriously again. More likely climate increased COVID disease or stakeholder analysis resistance not enough to extract the current growth and check with humans. Adapted with the food span appears as possible excesses of nature or low tense importance skepticism tests for confidence future change will not be severe and it magnifies all other existential risks. Count 23 large warming may be dangerous catastrophe risk as still exists. That's what we're doing least convincing and also recent science and numerical figures basis linus more less than study in the analysis permanence assessment this completely gives the most negative face and 30 less than the most reliable precedents. Extinction category without 4 degrees warming hurricane hits and NATO applies to global sign flames tensions and stokes unrest society so watches disinphobia fakes nuclear breaks out and nuclear winter first hospital defended by acidification changes and wildlife triggering epidemics unplanned evacuation of biosafety facility later release and modifies wildlife survivors are resilient but fail humidity is extinguished emissions alone trigger acidification which collapses global fish population scout to 23 ocean acidity threatens value to the sea leads to crust of habitat the metabolic rates of the whole ocean food chain population of fish is dwindling acidification is back to 40% of the global population mitigating GGs as a solution balancer dependent oceanic sources extinction curve 23 conflict originate with food shortages leading to speeds of dwindling fish existential threats are also to nuclear conflict even limited conflict kill 2 billion nuclear winter cross harbors of which for the war zone nuclear use topic weapon really falls in the hands of warlords and marine die-offs alone cause sulfide rain out extinction curve 22 human action ascending a course back to primary evolution where mechanical life and anoxic water stats leaving only rotting remains or bacteria regenerate hatches dissolved in H2S through the atmosphere falling against acid rain and poison off vegetation animal south this process may undergone triggered by human carving sovereign cars addressing the tripartite market failure of warming 1 energy demand trillions in consumer decisions do not reflect the cost of carbon tax notifies customers to reduce emissions Shizer 23 with the carbon tax consumers made it harm whatever ways easiest consumers can take mass transit carpool shall move close to get a fuel efficient engine direct having EVs to also a little bit thermostat heat by heat pumps and efficient appliances around flights with the EVs efficient bulbs that are insulation e-less mean more trends every day they reduce carbon and fossil demand is devastating for warming only a carbon tax can name it 21 government cannot identify every conceivable energy from practice carbon tax impact ban generally reducing emissions of retirement tax to efficient vehicles, reduce miles traveled to drive minimum miles to speak 2% energy consumption, electricity for electricity, small short term, quite in the long run. This is laudable given the risk of climate change. It solves carbon and elasticity. Marshall 22 new critical studies report consumers are responsive to price changes caused by taxes, making consumers sensitive to whether they pay taxes raise costs over the long term, but the short term hikes the rate taxes the most powerful instrument. How do we see for fuel prices like US consumption would be 30% higher during European if it's those shortages required stems to Rexy, Rexy stuff nothing to emissions from existing fuel because if vehicles fail off, stimulate demand and economy-wide cost is key and forces internalization of climate risk and consumer and investment decisions at number 21. There is a bug in the tax code to climate price and transactions faces price and economy must be economy-wide reducing emissions price and lines incentives for businesses and individual low carbon life energy efficiency with minimal and legal challenges put us on zero path to climate targets of border just with use other countries use 300% more carbon efficient than China, India and Russia. The demand and supply side response reduces pollution on electric 23 climate policy not only alters fossil fuels but also clean capital the increased demand reduces emission green products argues owners respond to supply even when we allow supply side response to demand side also through carbon tax and increasing even effort for supply side carbon policy still reduces emissions to low carbon innovation. It must be a cost effective. Businesses need market certainty to secure investment which only a simple and minimally directive tax can reduce national 20 tax will work immediately with complex regs 6 years of defended core corporate because EU set past to be hard decision the board titles fully claim companies want to transition between markets to the investing companies when it comes about corporate CC companies on low corporate goods for consumer search of market share 2025% of a credible path to the person by itself for is there any preference actual chasing opportunities and combines carbon as a constitutional power relief taxes even though conservative judiciary hard pressed to object to taxes carbon B technology neutral a carbon tax overcomes intermittent regulatory different pairs to carbon neutrality 1.20 carbon pricing will facilitate balancing so that means to careless revenue taxes fall big makes money and markets will follow as price signals become clear uncertainty should follow in sun and China windows will have a carbon price prevents a signal for flexible resources to be carbon for you don't attack you could be hydrogen gas to sequestration carbon helps get a division that you get segments attack that full market both unlock decarbonization Matthew 24 part of 8 means sectors don't have to have backup cement chemicals can be got using capture that's before looking at only renewable electricity or hydrogen and air these are too expensive creative reason to push for traditional policy they're not hard to make sectors only sector which clean solutions not purchased undercut fossil trying to say what carbon price a global renewable transition is inevitable won't occur fast enough to avoid warming up 23 clean energy is already underway even in absence of policy academic factors will inevitably drive industries collapse or pits of solid wind forces not fast to avoid climate change will demand likely to peak earlier, academic drivers include EVs. 2026 will limit peaks of the inevitable rival and self-avoid climate change, but eliminate as stranded 3 international emissions modeling in good faith alone fail American trade sticks incentivize global abatement. Vulcan primarily 21 nations will soon consider climate policies in response to CBE if the carbon price and border adjustment that would push the world to convert in line with keeping more below the 1.5 threshold. Adjusting emissions trade will have significant implications in the integrated world. The global price is very difficult. Countries have different priorities in consideration. Global pricing is not realistic, but a border adjustment will push the world to a full price. A BCA solves leakage and incentivizes global action. Clark to border adjustment prevents manufacturers moving overseas where it's free to the EU has their own adjustment. China, Russia's pocket about we're talking about NEG pricing. In response to how we get out of the incentive to keep fees in the churches, other countries will be landing up influence their contribution talking the US would be harder than a pricing carbon GWTO comply the order of China India to speak can inspire countries to pursue reductions when a product's carbon is unknown, a country's sectoral averages are applied, incentivizing domestic abatement in 22 is possible to monitor emissions by origin using remote sensing that data sets based on emissions key is tariffs to universal exemptions by gaming nation choose plastic compliance zero focus in semi-press carbon presumption control the Amazon tariff creates incentive within the country to release bad actors install the greater implementation would have administrators within their obligation and found compliance in their interest or only hope to reduce emissions for disaster. The United States federal government should adopt a significant carbon price advantage to its alignment. The EU and US divergent border adjustment approaches. US refusal to link tariffs to domestic pricing undermines the transatlantic relationship and confident all 23 tensions between US and EU can undermine the climate initiative's failure to align risk-stoking tensions and international repercussions. The strong transatlantic partnership has a purpose of uniting the economy without the EU. The US helps to knock it off the ground. Unlike EU, US failed to adopt a carbon price EU cannot be reconciled. US tend to pursue the EU approach to let some carbon price. Europe's first mover status makes it bound to disparage any adjustment not tied to domestic pricing but tied all 23. Although EU and US proposals appear similarly for market, the EU's CBAM is pronounced on WTO rules imposing the same precedent investing for project. EU is bound to reject asset because it has to bypass CBAM and painstakingly crafted among the EU federal coordinate proposed risks potentially lead to cycle, but even in worst case does not come. US and EU markets whose continue to score problems to encourage other countries following the US approach that prevents setting a transatlantic proof of concept for using trade to address global risks. Diverging crisis governance 2 times with the US suffering from globalization itself for this pivot is its partners need to cooperate with tough sales to Europe could change the focus on addressing core challenges around thinking the purpose of mind will be even but Biden's plans are shaky. Trade policy with little show now comes these future evidence latitudes to find the future could regress with the approach of mindset of breaks and makes clear how urgent it is find safely and with logical emitters still one opportunity to set a president trade in the gas with the highest profile initiative buying proceed to create protected market for low currency between the US and Europe divisions are floundering and capacity to do with Brussels concerns over commandability under WTO. These negotiations represent the last best opportunity to write proof of concept for its vision of global econ, diffuse globalized threats require responsive solutions to collective action problems. Extinction program and carbon-18 human extinction is informing society with good reason. Misuse of biotech and nukes confront daunting challenges, catastrophic failure, anywhere meet failure. Everywhere, efforts to overcome tragedy of global commons could be redefining challenges such as WD, sheer complexities, overwhelming the push for order the deliberate substances such as the WHO in Montreal, but are obsolete in the face of problems and complex academic assumptions to follow the fact everything is globalized. We do not currently have global structures in place to manage collective action problems. Existing structures are unresponsive to pressing needs. US-EU trade alignment is key to build risk-focused alliances in a diverging world. Because House 22 failing to align US and EU's dangerous power alliances, decisive to fracture globalization, trade policies plan to realize spheres of transatlantic bond must be indispensable quarters singularly able to play the role of standard bearer for realigned world is crucial. EU and USA on the same page with face overlapping global challenges. The planet adheres to the EU stance on carbon pricing, aligning approaches, and changing the game. 20 mistake. Choose European border taxes. Use to ask attention to the government's internal carbon pricing, border taxes, and more tax policy. The reduction is to have a response to EU would be a missed opportunity. You should adopt the EU stance of border adjustment with corresponding national carbon price. EU and US WGDP and China that much market power will change the game. Anything? No.
Okay.
Let me get some water. Yeah.
Water.
Somebody gave it to me.
Okay. The second advantage is impact is like collective action problems or like globalized threats. What does that mean?
States need to cooperate to solve issues like biotechnology because no government can regulate them single-handedly.
Okay, so like Russia and China are developing biotech. And the AFF is primarily a way of coordinating the US and the EU. How does the AFF solve adversaries?
So our evidence describes a US-EU breakthrough as proof of concept for the vision of the global economy
what
where we
exactly
can
is
leverage
the scenario
trade
for extinction
relationships.
that you think is occurring?
Our evidence says biotech nukes.
Okay, can you elaborate on that? Like what adversary is using like what's the deal here?
Well, I mean, if states don't cooperate using their economic relationships, then eventually the whole premise of a collective action problem is
So
that
China's like, let me like put a synthetic pathogen in the U.S. because they're not cooperating, or what?
maybe. It could also be non-state
Okay,
actors.
let's say they wanted. Okay, that is just ridiculous. The tag you're like on the warming advantage, you're like every molecule of abatement matters. What's the impact differential between abating like 2.1 degrees versus 2.2 degrees?
Substantial. We have
What is
It's not even substantial, it's like exponential.
there's uncertainty over the point at which will activate self-perpetuating warming. So every increment has an infinite impact.
Great. Your like country sectoral averages are applied for the BTA. What's the incentive for an individual firm to abate if that doesn't change the sectoral average?
So the government that presides over that industry would have an incentive to decarbonize their industry and enact regulations. So even if a single firm doesn't have an incentive, the
Okay, so
government
your
can
thing
coordinate.
requires like it's not that firms decide to pay the import price, but it's like other countries have to adopt a carbon tax.
It's not have to. That's one of our explanations of our internal link, and that is
Okay,
only.
then I'm asking you how you solve the other one, which is that individual firms abate.
Which is, and again, you're actually talking about something that is far more the exception than the rule, because firms have data about carbon emissions. They track them in their supply chains.
Right, but abating doesn't change the tax that they have to pay. Because
That
it's a
remember,
sectoral average?
when an industry's emissions are unknown, only then are sectoral averages applied.
What does like US-EU trade alignment mean? Like, is it literally just that the like price has to be the same as the EU?
Not necessarily. It's just like we both have a carbon price with a border adjustment.
So like, okay, whatever. I like.
Can we do that eventually? Just like you make sure I'm not fucking anything up.
Yeah.
I think this is okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. In that case, it is 10. It's 5 and then 1, 2.
I'm gonna put that value.
Became wet. Yes. Bad things.
Wait, sorry, are you guys okay if I record?
Jacob is.
Oh, great. Okay.
Using my iPad.
1 second.
I just noticed the bag of carrots. You guys always have like something crazy going on.
That's a burger contribution.
Did you say something cringy going on?
No, something crazy.
Oh, well, it's not even that crazy.
Okay, whatever. Alright. Okay. Sorry, Buxton, did you say you're good?
Yeah.
Kansas, you good?
Yep.
Cool.
Elections is that Harris wins number 1, 1033. Political strategies is certain Harris will win. Harris is actual fundraising champions and not on illicit trade 2018, 2020, 2022. Abortion is on the ballot. Harris will raise 1 billion to persuade swing voters to polling masterminds that he believes voters will reject the former president. Carbon pricing loses her the election. Rate between presidents who elect tax increase. Outright tax rate increase. Face fierce political backlash in elections. Political clan facing carbon pricing would expand to include coal and natural gas. Carbon pricing offered new starting political pain. Prices of fossil fuels are highly visible and illustrated by massive signs that stations to go over range of fossil fuel use creates a substantial constituencies. Powder across 24 states. Pennsylvania has substantial crowds. Such political base proved difficult to move. Trump win collapses alliances and escalates all hotspots nuclear war roads. 24-second Trump pursued politically motivated short comes Taliban model of Iran and chocolate nuclear program escalating proxy war important to Israel. Tough fight with China wars that was not again ever seen. I can't remember able to go to advance nuclear programs. Maximum pressure revealed humanitarian crises. Fear guard real strongman nationalism. Create permission structure for aggression with Taliban. Data will Putin campaign Russia provocation. China ready for invasion of Taiwan. Israel decide Biden is barely holding Israel back from torturing the Middle East. Leverage is working now, but must be to say Kylie Trent 26. Washington managed to hold Israel back, but Netanyahu may yet set fire to the whole region. There had been every time Israel was planning wide-ranging attacks against nuclear, military, and oil. The region would have been aflame, but Americans are persuaded to rain in their burn the House down. Biden's been quick to issue statements saying the direct exchange should be over by no work for a week to go. Dr. Shark, a proportional response not appear. That happened. Israel, Iran has plans for back that would include guerrilla offensive. South Syria, Ignite, Al-Qaeda across the globe. Biden has had at the top of authorities are preparing wider campaign, and now he has been held back from a handle moment. The plan calls for a domestic firestorm that trades off to a second crash. 20 climate policy will face many hurdles on climate issues like Biden's PC. Trump is mobilizing against climate, and Obama started never control, provided favorable context laws, not pass environmental laws. Obama could have invested in PC, prioritized the AC and international crisis away. Adjusted away from the Senate. Biden recognized the president action could generate backlash. Domestic fights bog Biden down, distracting from diplomacy, tooling. 24, the key thing preventing Israel offensive. But the U.S. restraint attempts to require the U.S. strong U.S. leadership to manage escalation. U.S. may have little PC to deal with foreign policy, may prioritize as political interest, take priority over internationalism. Obligated leaving the TPP, but not past the ACA noise by mobile from within Congress falls the banks on 10 bills of force, horse trading, World War III, and bioterror. Othman 1025 Israel and Iran implications for global stability, including the Third World War, the U.S. Russia and China risk escalation of water conflict, proxy wars conflict could disrupt oil extremist groups, lead to terrorist attack beyond trading relations, crisis escalation of war conflict cannot be overlooked. Diplomacy must be prioritized over advantage duration without proactive engagement. Maybe a flashpoint for global conflict, trade decide, border carbon adjustments, fail at containing leakage, decimating global developing economies, causing global trade wars, and undermine cooperation that's more effective responded to climate change. Not at all 24 carbon economics, both in direct and indirect be counted. However, this causes many challenges for data logistical management. Other countries see violence and carbon trade barrier or carbon counter tariffs may be inevitable. Retaliation will lead to some global welfare losses due to increase in rates where boost domestic production lead to an emissions rise overall. It leads to deteriorating global trade. The costs are borne by the poorest developing countries experience reduction in production due to decline market share. The gap between developing and developed is wide and global journey is a large global export loss offset the seabed with reduced benefits will multiply the loss of global competition lead to detrimental environment for trust. Being sustainable development costly protections clashes trigger global nuclear war. Soaking 9-5 shifting dynamics of dire consequences even nuclear war dissatisfaction with globalization resulting in increased instability and conflict between major powers is unmanageable for underscored for fragile geopolitics affecting global food, energy, and security. Part of fear of nuke confrontation and several global hotspots could lapse, highlighting the U.S. being crucial to the struggle between globalization and protectionism. Tensions in Europe and the Middle East, including escalation not confined by global multilateral. The government's climate change and nuke proliferate and humanitarian issues emerge following the U.S. that destroys China's economy, saying at all 19 carbon tariffs will influence China's export structure, leading to price fluctuations. Cost of exports to the U.S. will increase, and drops in the price will decline, which cause reduction in revenue. The decline will affect the U.S. China's economy. China's domestic income and contribute to a pronounced adverse effect. China collapse causes global war. White shirt 23, the collapse of China and America negatively impact the world. China's growth is susceptible to collapse economy, centralized by their economic headwinds, political stability is threatened with a large nuclear capability as well as other WMD. Instability is very bad. She's belligerent with Taiwan. The more the economy collapses, more likely China will risk war. She can be outside fashions going to rise. We're creating a multi-sided civil war with nukes and WMD. States counterpart the 50 states in relevant territory should adopt a substantial increase in carbon price, coordinate uniform implementation through the creation of the streamlined state carbon tax administration or SICTA program, and adopt a formulary apportionment mechanism to incorporate the carbon intensity of imported goods into tax rates. All domestic firms SICTA harmonizes carbon tax implementation, solves industry certainty and patchwork. Kiska, Solts, and Prompt 17. Streamline state carbon tax administration, unified simplified carbon tax model on the pseudo in effect since 2007, developed by states. A multilateral arrangement harmonized tax system pseudo provides a resource foundation to harmonize state carbon tax and governing body of state. Legislators develop software to reduce the complexity of collection and audits requiring a single tax rate, provide uniform definitions, allowing industries case and ease and understanding, unifying the system allows unilateral states to interact, matching commitments to raise water interest and reducing emissions. States can effectively tax carbon, creates international signaling and federal follow on Morrison Weaver. 15 tax code to level the playing field for zero emissions alternative states. How states could use that revenue in any way they wish. States can demonstrate the policy's viability to inform federal and international efforts level to achieve action abroad state innovations have led to biggest federal changes. Finally, industrial policy counterpart the United States federal government should substantially increase its financial support for research, development, deployment, and commercialization of a portfolio of low and zero carbon technology supervised by regular nonpartisan review. Counterpart solves better by revolutionizing progress on low carbon tech. Attack first approach for deep decarbonization solves better than changing marginal incentives with pricing. About 22 deep decarbonization requires the transformation of a tech frontier building industries tax work when solutions but a better theory of changes warming is a problem that involves technological and changes the market work conceiving industrial protection investments or risky industrial policy pushes radically new solutions to increase the capacity using loan guarantees. Office of Clean Energy demonstrations of funding from RPE. Airlines are selecting drop-in over replacements. I'd like to do a lot of productions in nature, industrial, plastic, steel, air, travel, electric, power, confirmation, EGs, disruptive policy. We need hydrogen offshore wind networks, charger, cement, and steel production, hydrogen, and fueling systems. Every industry needs a flexible policy government. Help absorb risk and comes across the solution will emerge from a cluster of early movers that create industrial revolutions second by second that make every not to join regular reviews from NGOs. The national academies can fill the gaps. COE is a good track record. Tax credits for hydrogen can encourage a disruptive shift. The plan enacts carbon pricing prematurely before building a political coalition. Conservative and progressive versions of pricing are competing for political airtime. The counterplan builds a broad progressive coalition which paves the way for a stringent pricing scheme, but the plan locks in a conservative version that does not solve Meckling 19. Climate is permanent mixes rather than pricing, so overall its price will remain below the level needed to achieve commitment 12 states pricing only cover electricity history, reveals the great opportunity, feasibility, cost-effectiveness, cost-effective solutions cannot opt with low stringency policy versus political interest and coalitions that must create opportunities for incumbents and mobilize powerful interest pricing imposed, concentrated, cost and diffuse benefits, great policies, create sticky interest by incentivizing multi-decade investments of targeted and direct rather than broad and shallow companies will be more likely lobby for support than accept spending on clean tech as immediate effects on political mobilization enables ambitious federal carbon policy in the future. Clean terms support carbon pricing and subsidies become unsustainable policy may be made of interest that align with stringent accommodative and progressive pricing coalitions are competing. The oil-backed climate leadership council suggested less stringent pricing tied to regulatory rollback. The time for pricing is right when a winning coalition seeks progressive pricing. Climate event. 1. Price signals cancel warming grows a little bit on 20. Framing climate as a market value first appreciate this couple of depth and interconnected tech for regs our business models lifestyle locked into design of cities sized above alongside a automobile entire entwined with dumb regulation socio-technical systems cannot be entwined to reduce the shifts in price transition to encompass every city planning to developments must undergo change current trajectories deviate little from BAU even in Sweden is $140 optimization that does little to confront lock in or avoid dead and pass along of carbon intensive infrastructure natural gas or ongoing incremental changes in insufficient systems or lock in some constant cultural conventions. 2. No warming extinction Kagati 22 humanity is coupled with the increase in not because of prosperity and tech ambitions of well-being such as undernourishment, food production, productivity improvement significantly. NASA confirms greening due to CO2, which mitigate the warming by increasing the sink deaths attributed to natural disaster decline. 95% increase of temp of 4 degrees Celsius will only cause 3% reduction in GDP. GDP expected to increase manifold. Humanity should be able to cope. Fossil fuels, enduring prosperity exaggerations, and failed predictions of environmental doom were well illustrated. Climate scientists have come up out against apocalyptic predictions. 3. No fishies impact the yield. 70 researchers study the late Triassic extinction where enough did not change even though the vast proportion were killed by global oceans were made by a skeleton crew. Stations were operational, banned by few species. Life underwater is incredibly resilient, capable of surviving the worst environmental people. 4. Zero historical evidence of leakage, so BTs are unnecessary death. It goes 24. No historical precedents for leakage. There's little precedents to show pressing lead to leakage. No agreed understanding of how border adjustments prevent leakage. Empirical studies searching for leakage had limited success, specifically for carbon pricing. Research found mostly little impact on leakage numbers. Modeling analyses predict leakage under pricing, however, exhibits significant differences in estimations. Europe advantage 1. Their relations evidence is about Gaza. All causes 2. Disagreement. Janssen et al. 23 level playing field. A little bit of a seal is extremely difficult. Gaza remain far apart. The EU promoting soft policy tools. US aiming for tariffs on China. US common coverage subject to a 0. Tariff based on EU proposing US permanently less section 232. EU rejecting the proposal where the US allowed number of members to set emission standards. EU proposal levy. Truth will come to an end. A position remain fundamentally incompatible. 2. No spillover to solving collective action problems. Melly et al. 24. Gaza adoption complicated by BC. Relationship between Gaza and CBAM remains unclear from a US perspective. Gaza only lead to exemption from the EU. The CBAM will continue. Gaza only could be a key forum to discuss BC is only focus on one sector and like an offer for developing shared objectives and principles. 3. Globalized system threats don't cause extinction. What does that even mean, Dresser? 23. Poly crisis echoes 1970s concerns warning assumes exists some negative feedbacks efforts that many not exist under connectivity concerns about using any kind of political system fuel mechanisms that push back against shock supply chain stresses and inflation have reversed complaints turning to glut markets on producers. Systemic crisis premature best 1. Crisis lessening strength on another second domain help prevent an inflationary spiral. Poly crisis low probability detracts more than it adds. Back to the first advantage. 4. BTAs can't, or 6. I think BTAs don't solve leakages aren't at all. 10. US industry could relocate this leakage cost solve failing to reduce emissions given complications for US. Other advantages can be realized. They cannot outlaw purchase of fatal fossil raw materials. This is least affected the majority of intensive imports are in finished products.
That bizarre card is marked in finished products.
Are you open for cross-examination and further points of clarification?
I sure am.
Everything conditional?
Yeah.
Elections is the link about an actual material increase in prices.
No.
So it's the perception of having
Well,
undercut fossil
that's,
fuels.
so we'll make link arguments about both, but we don't need to win prices increase between like now and November 5th. No.
Okay, so that's sufficient. Like perception of undercutting fossil fuels sufficient to swing election.
Well, we think that it's probabilistic because elections are won and lost on the margin. So the more you link, the worse it is.
Harris on the campaign trail supported a fracking ban and endorsed the Green New Deal. Why don't voters already view Harris as the Green candidate?
Kamala Harris did not win in 2020.
Right. That doesn't answer my question.
What? Sorry. Well, they might view her as the Green candidate. They don't view her as the tax candidate. Our link's about taxation.
Okay. Israel.
Which actually is our argument for why the industrial
okay,
policy campaign avoids it.
Israel. How does a domestic policy trade off from foreign affairs focus?
Because like there are only so many hours in a day for people in the executive like Biden to be engaging. Our evidence cites the example of when Obama had to drop the TPP to pass the ACA.
Okay, but Biden has a State Department. Like, why
Right.
can't the State Department restrain Israel? Because
Well,
they represent Biden.
The president is the commander-in-chief and the chief diplomat. All of our evidence speaks specifically to Biden's efforts. And like he is the one that has the high-level communications with Netanyahu.
Well, but we have a State Department.
We
Like,
sure do.
Okay. BTAs,
Yeah.
is the link just carbon adjustment collapses China economy, or does it require retaliation?
The link to the first chunk is probably requires retaliatory spirals. The link to the second chunk is just as bad for the China economy. Yeah.
Okay. Impact is like China's economy goes into a full recession, and that's what triggers it.
Well, it is that Xi's legitimacy is tied to the performance of the economy. So if the economy goes down, he gets deposed, and the PLA takes over.
Yeah, back to your link question, there's also a link to decimating global developing economies, which does not require retaliation. That is also just about the economic impact.
What's the impact to developing states?
It's the second
The
concept.
next
Okay. States counterplan, it includes a BCA on foreign goods, correct?
Norm.
No, it is formulary apportionment, which is distinct from a border carbon adjustment because it is the domestic firms internalizing the cost of importing carbon.
Okay. Does it impose a tax on foreign goods that come into the United States? Does it charge them?
It charges domestic firms for that tax, yeah. It doesn't charge the foreign firms, it charges the domestic firms for importing carbon-intense goods.
But
Okay.
the products are the things that get priced, right?
It would be, yeah, if the product
Gotcha.
is
As opposed to what?
carbon-intense, but,
I think.
Per unit of emissions?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Industrial counterplan, what's subsidized?
Our evidence, or our counterpoint text says a slate of low carbon and zero carbon technologies. The stable evidence gives several examples.
I'm sending it out right now. Okay, it should be sent. While everyone's waiting to get that, my speech will be covering the warming advantage, the industrial policy counterplan. Oh, that's not even right. Warming advantage, EU advantage.
Wow.
Industrial policy counterplan, states counterplan, China/trade DA, Israel DA, elections.
Will your speech be beginning on your first word? Or no, it won't.
See, that was a weird COVID era innovation, but these guys are old school Kansas stock issue stuff. So first word, no, it doesn't fit.
Alright, sorry about that.
You can say off-time roadmap. Off-time roadmap, yeah.
That'd be the nicest thing you've ever said.
That's clutch.
We're going. Okay, Dartmouth, do you all have the document? All three judges good?
Hold on. That's the wrong document.
No.
Quarters.
I'm not even ready. I don't know my flow. Now I'm ready. And you're good?
Yes.
Okay. Drop the warming accelerates every other accidental risk caused by biosafety leaks to engineering, deployment, nuclear climate wars, and pollutes WDs at higher temperatures. No new blocking into shape to issue strategy. First argument is rose and blue. 1, no block-ins. 8 drops Rathi. Burst new tech makes deep decarbonization possible with hydrogen, CCSB. Renewable costs are low now, but fossil fuels are still competitive. Raising the price overcomes all barriers. C, inelasticity is solved by public taxes. That's Marshall. 2, profits matter. Infra and city planning is beholden to growth, ensuring the plan solves sunk costs and fossil coal culture. That's magic. Category sites are wrong. 1 is couldn't or second 21 share picks out data scientists fact to find misleading represents scientists. 2 is Schellberger leaking 27 fatal strawman theory making misuse of facts misrepresentation of science. 3 is Lombard War 24 exhibition cherry picks data misrepresented pressure 4 is Golkani Batios 21 does not researcher peer reviewed as engineer not science 5 PLK Cal Search 14 and Allen for misuse of procedure falls removing climate damage 6 FC range 23 cites a single cold risk engaged by peer reviewed evidence over decades experts not flow the entire headline 7 Allen is critiquing 1.5 degrees at extinction inserted in the document. Next argument is nailed. It's about the late Triassic when we weren't adding tons of carbon to the atmosphere every year. That pace means maritime ecosystems cannot adapt, but it doesn't respond to food wars since we don't need to win total extinction or wars to occur. Devin Goswami, yes. Leakage 1, companies are profit seeking. That's magic. Moving elsewhere is logical. 2, no historical precedent is because not strong enough taxes without a BCA exist. 3, the plan is a political stick that causes global abatements even if it can't prevent leakage. That's Clark Izard. A BCA is simple. 1, the plan applies to all imports if we can't assess the carbon we know from satellite data approximations, which errs on the higher side of prices. 2, that also solves domestic consumption in other countries since the entire threshold for prices is the entire industry incentivizing decarbonization. EU advantage. Gas is the sticking point for other disagreements. All causes don't matter. It also lives 232 tariffs, which their evidence lists on all causes. Truce won't come to an end as long as US doesn't do a BCA, which is the Bataille-Soutan evidence. Yes, deliver their evidence about a single sector BCA, which obviously is not what the AFF does. Concede Dresner, they seriously messed up. It says a global trade collapse is impossible, so that takes out the DA, but that was never our advantage because our argument is out using trade to adjust global risk, so it's only uniqueness for the advantage. Industrial policy kind of and perm do both. It doubles solvency since every degree matters. Links and net benefit. Politics, Dolan 24. Political pushback, limited to price-based economic action against the share from all sides. It also means it can't access the internal net benefit since it's equally controversial. Perm to the accountable. It can't solve one efficiency. Subsidies can't solve fossil fossil consumption, incremental abatement, and free ride in March 24. Sometimes it's taken those appropriate taxes, raising cost of energy, encouraging conservation, also substitutes as lower cost of energy to cut their conservation consumers by too much, and won't cut back on fossil fuels without a tax. Subsidies don't discriminate the biggest inefficiency given how much fossil power remains in the efficient tax rates of portion. Subsidies people who would do the right thing that without enforcing this free ride. Problem 2 is bureaucracy. Subsidies spur slow, lazy innovation, resource diversion, and high risk winners. Limit 21. Subsidies lead to misallocation resources toward investment. Industries, government is trying to promote green energy subsidies and replace private spending of ZC. Way to see where public funds would go rather than be stability. Clean tech is falling to 1.5% of capital and venture markets have been the consequence of innovation beneficial divert resources away from classical businesses of obtaining federal benefits lobbying and grant writing also tend to attract higher risk as actors play by deficiencies. 3. Pricing is key to advantage. 2. It's the only way to adhere to the EU's approach. The internal benefit 1. No pricing without fiat ever. Eccles 3. Carbon tax. Now the Republicans if you're the tax which comes from fossil fuel. Red states will expend the government to equally offensive dams and practice. Down will be difficult because both parties are hostage, moderate hostage culture wars. 2. The Cannibal doesn't create coalitions, it fractures them, which was the dawn. Evans above. 3. The plan is effective, doesn't cause lock-ins, and is best solution. Warman Vanden Berger Basel 24. Countries test pricing is limited to achieve radical decarbonization of looks to decarbonization possible low carbon division fusion takes time to renewable cars. Fossil inputs radical cuts of fossil fuels will extremely risky economically, socially, and politically infeasible. The best one can afford gradual steady emission reduction. All sectors are affected by price. Investors are driven by profits. Carbon pricing will ensure benefits of emission over the life cycle of goods. Pricing is uniquely capable of controlling indirect emission, limit carbon rebound, and trigger dominant effects to demand supply tripping point throughout the system for strategy of emission reduction of the price transparency. 4. Even low prices solve China 21 price management is high because obviously the way units emission reduction, but studies show even low prices have large effects in other keys. Every year the price goes up and if you start to use your prices to 105 fiat solves low price. Otherwise the NEG can always win on Trump. No enforce the plan, which is unfair and teaches debaters nothing good ever happens. States kind of win. Heard about the chills net benefit because it diffuses blame for the plan and Walt signs the Cannabis. Heard of Cannabis states definitely cannot tax the border. A. States can't tax imports. Madison 1787 powers the United States to state duties on imports such as laws subject to the control of Congress. B. It facially violates the Foreign Commerce Clause. Sheldon 18. Foreign Commerce Clause requires state laws to be constitutionally allowed to trade to state level taxation. Good frustrate federal authority would likely be shut down by the Supreme Court policy requires border measures to solve leakage that matters. 1. It causes leakage with zero solvency. 2. It fails to convince other states to act on climate change. That's Clark. State and federal fiat is a voting issue. It's unfair. Legitimizes Lopez. Beats every deficit and has zero literature ruining education. The two and only go for one layer of fiat. And they can't tax federal lands. Revenue rates which you produce currently over vested because of the cost of low extraction federal lands and capture future emission fed does not internalize cost of pollution to produce carbon activation GHGs to internalize the cost of loss of extraction. No federal follow-on cross supply from the other counterblind formulary apportionment still violates the FCC. If it implicates U.S. foreign affairs, McKellen and Gilson denied the court just where the California for the portion kills in principle against it. Impair funding authority courts determined the state tax will violate. If it implicates foreign policy when a state tax against foreign policy must be left to the Fed. The court held the most obvious implication is the state taxing by defend trading partners. If it taxes the firm in the U.S., it means it imposes no cost on other countries to follow on. Condo is a voter straight terms are key to 2AC strategy, punishes the responsibilities and disincentivize shallow research. This was all they can kick the ass as perm or theory China DM. China's recession is imminent. Laundry list of boards locked in 10, 21 troubles coming to the Chinese economy, investing credit in housing market bubble, falling housing prices away with low defaults, sustained local government's finances, declining GDP, deflating population units, declining at a rapid pace. China has 90 million undocumented dwelling SDGs, eradicating the economy causes a sharp deceleration in growth, heavy-handed approach to the tech industry contributed to a loss of foreign confidence. Europe and US will not tolerate China trying to export its overcapacity problem. Trump is threatening a 60% tariff that was in the economy to recession. Poor economic performance will not collapse the CCP. Zhao 23, 30 million died of starvation yet bounds to dream survival. The lots of propaganda. Poor economic performance is how harm the political regime countries. Under popular projects directed by regime himself, US sanctions decoupling from China. A few times the Chinese people are looking to rebel. 90 million party members cut off the internet. There was no one willing to win to turn against the regime will not come to an end because of faltering econ. Tons of retaliation with numbers. Clue 24. Biden kept Trump serious even with added some visa more. Trump and Biden divided the same EU. Only terrorists under state nationalists. Turn Biden national policy such as chips after IRA. Europe and Asia retaliating against subsidies war. Worse than trade war. Also continue dissing W2 about blocking dominies, sabotaging entire regime trading for the economy of peace. EU CBAM thumbs it is through strict retaliation for trade decline. Trade is low. Actually skip that card. The link is propaganda taxes and massive alleviates and recently lead to retaliate. Small goods which the fossil industry polluters set against terrorists with this and help should be discarded. The terrorist protections do not hold the water shares of the playing field. Do not push protection measures on W2 rules. They are legal import share subject to taxes and exports of domestic produce of countries defensive taxes and do the same. Trading green goods replaces dirty ones. Massive weighing lost trade back to White House. When you how do you make sure justice doesn't turn into production? Getting right in common massive to 200 trillion weighing the investment of our clean energy tech enormous. The US misses out an opportunity. We need to right pressure to globalize harmonized pricing. The adjustment helps trade is resilient and companies easily adapt when it comes to the acceptance because they understand globalization as a straight line trade instead of changing above factories doing business daily reality. Corporations are always balancing risk and acting with factory change, which they regularly do supply shocks. Our result is production self-scenarios. Season pros not simply abandoned trade when COVID in Ukraine did the international friendly countries leave it bottlenecks even after massive shocks. Today still very global, just different auction shorts between people's on the globalization. Don't want to read that card. Trade does not prevent war. March 24, 17th independence reach a level which confidence grow in unthinkable history because the recent bound peace and inevitable. Trading parties not go to war, but logic of indefensible war should never have occurred. Wars occurred to business protection, direction these active wars inevitable and desirable. No China war on 2024. Alarm is over. There was a war. China going to become to win a war. Beijing should have one party. Yes, that's why I know the attacks on the U.S. rapidly kept within limits. China has little which will competent other things. Battery time once world saving a would cost trillions. Economic warfare would result in the economies of good comes with hit China harder makes it together with a major relationship. Effective defense combo. China collapse. Global 21. The SEC maintain power for 7 decades of weather. Well, people China building economy has saved hundreds of billions out of poverty. The party gets credit for law and order. The country is now considered great power. Credit. The CCP is able to must go sophisticated coercive apparatus. CCP pretty strong within array of instruments for social control is hardly defined. The most challenges most remain supportive of the CCP. The Israel DA. No deal now. New Palestinian demands are a poison pill. Out of 9/7. Biden ceasefire has been opinion. Hamas to debate scores frustrated positive. Preoccupied Biden by trying to defend the war appeared to road take it like a UN without media comment to either Israel or Hamas. But to deal the two agreed Israel would release both. But Hamas said civilians will also need to be changed for a poison pill. The link is just crap. One Biden is no PC. Sending 729 Biden's lame duck in every sense of the missing PC and to spend. No one owes him any favors in Congress. 2. Israel cares zero about a carbon tax. PC vis-a-vis Republicans matters nil for the State Department negotiators. Ceasefire doesn't stop Middle Eastern war. Cook 9/11. Ceasefire would be good. Yet the idea to hold the Gaza would end in Lebanon. Houthis not really horizontal reality. Israel's wants to solve Hezbollah. Israel's result of forces nothing to do with the Gaza. Biden claimed the ceasefire best to Houthi control Yemen. Firing Israel give up an upper hand when give it to a ceasefire. No, I need your cards for this. No Middle Eastern war. Escalation drawn down 23. Unlike 70s Middle Eastern proxy warfare, the U.S. financial military power to limit the skill and intensity of any conflict in the Gulf, although China's adversary Beijing, its meant oil does not want infrastructure. Beijing's interest in a stable Gulf in line with America. Impact is empirically denied. Israel's already struck Hezbollah. No Middle Eastern war won't escalate. Politics 23. The risk of escalation are limited. The run of Hezbollah did not participate in the Hamas assault. Is strongest evidence leaders looking to fight the escalation cuts against their interests. Iran's unpopular regime represents a war, but the economy has always been wary of Israel's power. Hezbollah has its hands full running Lebanon. Evidence is cut at Lebanon elections yet. Trump wins now with the DS captive figures to make Hardy 10-24. Trump won every swing state, so gives a 24 chance of winning most of the swing state, made the most likely the FR30 also shifted to Trump 51 chance of winning. RCP showed him a 230 to 312 to Harris a 227 to Harris a toss of both. Major polling aggregators have Trump winning. Silver Bulletin has a 54 to 46 Trump and Sir graphing Silver 10-24. So does the Economist. 10-24. The plan is after the election, the Senate and House will be out of session until after the elections at UABS. 10-18 Musk's don't care about that. Either Thumper's guarantee the link A pass endorses thesis 9-6. Undecided swing state decide election. Trump should be winning as much as he can. When he contrasts with Harris, who reminds what he liked his policy. Harris was abandoned fracking now against you for G&T. Now when talking was about the G would fracking she gained because she's abandoned her positions. Or there's no link. Harris is for the plan. She doesn't sign it. Collins 9-5. Harris tried to clear tax raises. Harris to work as Biden just chose to the hostile policy policies that she robust and claim she's the heiress to a failed econ legacy. Policy is relevant. It's too late to matter. There's no more undecided. Robinson 10-14. Ads don't work at both sides. Found effects and campaign contact campaign shorts to zero. Voters who are paying attention are watching so much info that ads don't make a difference. But voters who are tuning out ads 2020 Dems or more ads and swing state never any effect in polls. Effect is an anchor for polarization. Electorate voters won't move no matter how hard the wind blows. There isn't room within the electorate. The voters could still change their minds or overstating the ads certainly are diminishing returns. No Trump foreign policy disastrous. Laundry list coding 910. This miscares about Adams half a loyalist to abandon allies start wars until Trump jail Ukraine shows effective focus on peace in China and abroad. These results in the room culture isolation Trump encouraging the Middle East and diplomacy with all allies in Europe and Asia. Close relationship Japan, Abraham reports in Kim, which off the INF and Iran and INF for pragmatic. Trump also data forces and NATO like a war Putin brought countries to NATO and strengthen the alliance on Ukraine. If Putin refuses, Trump could provide weapons to force a ceasefire. Checks on Trump in a peaceful security environment prevent disaster. Hirsch 24. The U.S. the unchallenged power with China flagging Russia riding Ukraine. Second Trump may mean Republican wishing will survive handling courts and checks are still strong and Trump starting wars but probably not allowed to do spending by allies by cut a deal to end Ukraine. Europeans, Japan, Japan, about what trade China both was good and a lot of Putin have hands full with domestic problems. Border 3 leaders like America, South fragile. Harris causes all the same impacts McGillen. 24 Harris is a war hawk. Things got worse concerning China and Russia. Escalation by high intentions to bring the world closer to World War 3. Diplomacy is an error is an essential and error. Harris is deficient.
Okay. Do we need to take that?
No.
Okay, one second. John, are you open for cross-examination?
Yes, I am.
Okay. On the gradual or the industrial policy counter plan, you said fiat solves the low price. The plan says adopt a significant carbon price. What card should I look at for what you fiat?
Well, like, are you asking for a number?
I'm asking what a significant carbon price means.
It is a carbon price that starts at a reasonably high level and it does increase over time.
Okay, what card says either of those things?
All of our 1AC solvency evidence are about a substantial carbon price that does increase.
We also get to clarify the plan through cross-section speeches.
You do. Okay, for sure. The case, you were just like, GASA is the key internal link. We have read cards that say the US and the EU are split over how mean GASA should be to China. How does the plan overcome that?
Because it gives the EU what they want on a BCA.
Yeah, but that's different from the thing I said.
So the thing I was about to say is that it then means that they probably have some kind of basis to go off of for what the tariff strategy should look like against China.
Wait, why? On what basis is that true?
Well, I mean, it's almost like you read a DA about that or something.
Sorry, what?
The trade thing, you know? Remember that?
I think that is my argument, but okay. The industrial policy links to politics. This card is just like, there is political blowback on, like, where does this say that it swings the election? Or that it has electoral implications?
Okay, well, none of your 1NC evidence definitively says that the carbon price would swing the election. It also just says the plan is controversial.
It says it swung it in 93 and 2008.
What?
The rape card.
A presidential election?
Yes.
Get out of here. You
No,
know, this
it
card
says
is
that
definitely
it
good
cost
enough to
Clinton
match
the White
Ireland's
House in
fault.
93 when he backed the BAU tax.
Who?
So I will ask my question again.
Who was the politician you just said?
I thought it said Clinton, whatever. Sure. The plan gets rid of Section 232 tariffs. What is the basis for that? being true?
That's part of the Gaza deal.
Well, right.
So
that
the
is
plan
our
give-
argument was that was a
it-
stumbling block for the Gaza deal.
Well, the plan gives into the biggest EU request for Gaza.
okay, so we're just back to where we started.
Yeah.
Trade defense. Why does this not take out the case? Since your argument is just like the trade relationships solve things.
No. The using trade to redress collective action problems. It's the only stick that exists between countries.
Right. But this card says interdependence doesn't prevent war and doesn't work as a stick between countries.
No, it says that it wouldn't prevent a country who is determined to go to war from doing so.
So what is the distinction between that and the case?
Well, because a coalition of parties can still use trade to stop something like a rogue proliferator.
But if they were bent on proliferating, similarly, why would they not be able to?
Well, we've read a piece of evidence in the NEG that says that the economic measures of sanctions are uniquely able to do that.
Okay.
Sorry, I think it looks new. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'm done.
John, did you say anything other than a condo?
Let me check.
Or like multi-level fiat, but I don't.
I believe that those are the only two.
So. Wait, it was Clinton. I was right. Whatever. Wait, actually,
Maybe we should have just.
7:34.
7 what?
7:54.
Okay, and since Tony said I can It's the Industrial Policy Counter Plan, Advantage 1, Advantage 2. Okay.
One second.
Okay.
First word.
Okay. 2AC1 permutation 2, both 1, it causes lock-in, weak prices are hard to increase, starting low means hikes need to be larger to solve spring, stronger opposition creates a self-fulfilling cycle. The benefit is so small that if used the public and won't bother to fight for it, which reinforces regulatory capture and links more to their bureaucratic capture arguments. Even fiating increases cannot solve normal means will pause them or strip them from the law entirely. That's the various evidence. And 2, the public will psychologically strongly resist spikes. Lucas 17. Support declines dramatically with bolsters mentioning small costs plus you have willing to sacrifice and support the rate would be lower than IWG's estimate once the small tax in place. The public strongly resist increasing burden and everyone people being anchored to the additional rate. The offer rate is ambiguous because people have based it on the original industry assume this offer will be proceeding the public strongly opposed to increasing taxes. 3. Strong initial opposition guarantees. The plan starts at a low rate once weak start is locked in. Support for increased collapse is dominio. And hey 19. Fewer than 10 jurisdiction applies a price above 335 exemption lower than effective prices are unfortunately low to the peers. The efficient price is quite high, even higher than if the high cost tipping points applied on countries under invest public and hinder climate action starting low, keep your problematic series. Initial after initial low prices difficult to follow up with more many increases, many struggle even to keep the real value stable. The solution to face the law into laws, the trajectory not bulletproof the UK's, then change the schedule load rates and strengthen interest groups decision influence the action to palliate or for palliative and lets everyone pretend to action on climate change which diffuses momentum for stringency. Ball 18 through though in theory for rising basis practice without failing leaving transportation will decision that affected rise of 42 policy will decision cheese actually narcotic and productive use is reduce pressure of dollar pressures but produce cost reductions. IMF use model $35 if you impose anywhere near if independence pricing would cut it useful but far from sufficient means price would help, but there is little evidence whatsoever because of specific to oppose 1.5 stability preference. Consumers don't want to adjust upwards because they prefer stable budgeting. Prices would stay flat over time, not increase. Voters strongly prefer stable budgeting potential at all. 20 publics prefer cost per ramping up political policy acceptance to raise the price 1 to 2 million per is ramping because individuals keep it just reducing support for policies. 2 easy 2 least net benefit. That's wrong. They always say links to politics with net benefits internal because only the cattle can result in high pricing and just solve climate. But 2 easy 4 2 easy 3 permutation due to the cattle one is severance. The cattle one is if you tax that's a voted for argument of responsibility. 2 easy 4 efficiency 1 the cattle one solves short-term consumption declines. Renewables immediately displace fossil fuels tyranny. 20 renewables phase up and replace fossil fuels energy and virtual every virtual available displays cancer gas renewable emission plants. The solar wind have dominated plant bills. Fossil plants continue to be retired by in 2019 with representing 60% generating capacity. 14 gigawatts of coal capacity was retired. 2 marginal abatement delays system transformation that locks in climate change which is based on cumulative emissions. Lithium 22 Paris demand a complete transition of energy countries cannot rely on global recovery gas here to area whether they trigger tech changes pricing use short-term reductions for temperature response to cumulative emissions. The pathway to reduce emissions different than limited emissions was balanced with renewables transmission storage requires the ability to rate differences in positive volume based on quantity better reduction fossil quality pathway to decarbonization. Mark the card at decarbonization. 2 5 was bureaucracy and cronyism. 1 no capture. Empirics prove their argument is conservative propaganda. Conservative propaganda coin. 23 industrial policy was punching back for economists for challenges capital processes for economists ever stop governments. Industrial policy homework and has worry about companies and government about the children are done right and better news can be highly system providing channels for continual negotiation. Dartmouth which played a key role in genetics. GPS needs to play interface and about autonomy gear for World War II and Apollo 2 were 2 signals success. 2 our mechanism stalls review by the national academies and NGOs prevents dead ends from being funded and reduces regulatory capture less than stable evidence. 3 regulatory capture links to them which will be all the circumvention stuff below. 2 5 was the price signals key to EU follow-on stalls which will be extended now. 2 6 was no follow-on but that follow-on does occur. Industrial policy increases the political centers of gravity that build support for carbon tax over time. The 1 card is excellent as it increases the power of clean firms and inverts their argument against current follow-on because it creates political pressure to establish a carbon tax starting with second best policies that compromise on efficiency at the outset in order to build stringency in the long run results in greater mitigation over time. Highlight at all 17 years such as price need to be removed. The presence of blocking constitutive or assets of active interest might be overcome through a sequence of non-price policies that enabling rationing up and industrial policy building winning coalition for pricing over winning coalition pricing over time dispersion. A policy base that upholds increasing prices the first best price little omitting a policy barriers. The critical assumptions that overcoming barriers is within their power. Mark the card powers carrots but 2 carrots by sticks investments generate coalitions for robust carbon pricing later down the road. Farmer 24 our pressure couples to heavy shaped by economic pressure renewables temperature rules for prices and borders important ways to shift interest shape investments to industrial policy over substantial tendencies to nurture human interest groups and shift relationship each source of data for contributing reductions target emissions domestic growth clean tech and people who advance green industries are political allies and more strategic policy here by 6 degree nation of political path for future regulations say. They say it's unpopular. 1 unpopularity now proves our circumvention arguments of stringent versions of the plan are unpopular. There's no chance that's normal means. 2 some form of carbon price will inevitably be adopted in this decade. It's a question of stringency. That fund agreeing 23 indicators of carbon pricing uses and based on global national trends conquers of price carbon in this decade. Pricing is ever spreading the last decade. The number of pricing has tripled. Business will also pay for carbon prices. Exports starting with CBAM. 2EC 7 was the low plan works. That is wrong. Every circumvention argument is opposite. The plan locks in a low insufficient price that crowds out the kind of what's actually adequate rate. Building a political coalition for strong pricing is key. No sufficiency there. He has a ton of reasons why high prices measurably better than a low one, which will explicitly concede from the 1AC. 1 is line as it's tagged. Every increment of reduction matters to the uncertainty over tipping point threshold. 1AC cross axis. The impact to that is quote infinite and exponential. 2 GoHo says abatement must be maximum. 3 there's always evidence establishes minimum thresholds for the advantages. A is Europe. The whole point of the explicit pricing is to eliminate the need for U.S. companies to pay the CBAM. Low prices don't do that. They still have to cover the difference bulk. And Pomerleau 21 we read yellow. They want to make sure as the EU don't pay if they've already paid for the price in their home. They will give them a deduction. If Europe has $60 per ton of the price and the carbon countries exporting to $1. The export have to pay $40 is very exponentially complex. The plan closes less than half of that gap. Clark 22. The EU has the price of about $77. Americans want to start low at $15. B warming. Their evidence says $30 is insufficient. Marshall prices are 80 cents per gallon of grain starch crude, not sufficient to decarbonize the sector. Litterman says $40 is key. Litterman 21. The Arsenal report economy car price at $40 is one key for U.S. commitment to rapid, just, equitable transition. Transition answers all their low price stuff. Fiat doesn't solve the price is too. Or first is that it is not normal means the price is too low. Repeated attempts in the U.S. and survey of 61 carbon prices globally prove normal means prices are practically dictated by targeted industries as green and Meckley emitters are well organized in block stringent versions, which means they plan hands conservatives and keys in the kingdom. That's the Meckley evidence and takes out solvency. Now there is they cannot fiat it. The only word that might indicate that the price is high is the word significant, but that guarantees circumvention 1 is it's meaningless. Significant doesn't specify any number from Pong 23. Significant is vacant. I'll be sure that those has been met either specific or no product list amount. The term cannot serve as a replacement for rate, number, or cost. It does not convey a metric for measurement. Comment 14. The term significant does not convey a dimension. 3. It includes low prices. The UK's 2013 carbon price report was a significant carbon price coffin. 19. The UK imposed a significant carbon price on electricity in 2013. That price was $12. We wrote here 22. Examine the carbon tax in UK power sector in 2013. The tax rate increased at €5 per ton in 2013. The fiat cannot solve one is framing issue. Any given design element is either a mandate or an effect of the plan. The price cannot be both. If they fiat something, it means they've said it should happen, which means it can be used as a sort of competition. That's fair and reciprocal. The cost of transforming an issue from would to should is that the negative response which should not. They've deliberately not done this with a plan that gives them the tons of upside they can prove you. Any counterpart that sets a non-trivial price. The cost is that price-based circumvention arguments are fair game since they've made our weaker design picks into ways a plan can be done. 2. That means the political economy concern should be center stage in choosing a policy instrument. Santos 22. Internalizing costs within the carbon tax was sensible in 90s is no longer agreement to be reached, but the SEC after 30s revision policy has been so unshine. The result is emission of future increase in political economy is to blame. Yes, no, the NEG job just went on Trump won't enforce the plan because the can't feel that Trump does enforce what the plan text says. They should have just said that it is increasing or is specified a price. Warming. There's no warming impact. Tipping points are wrong, and there's no existential climate impact. The indecisive and one in the evidence. So just read a new card. Scafetta 24. Adaptation are affordable because prices are not alarming. IPC acknowledge a hot model permanent actual ECs according to empirics could be 1 degree and 1 and 2 degrees supply. Worst case, most alarm IPCC reports that 21st century low confidence any change in ag and ecological drought, fire, erosion, heat waves, air pollution, radiation, and climate impact, air types. Governance alarmists are unrealistic. Warming will be moderate at slower rate. Compare alternative workers such as sat-based contamination from non-climatic factors. Seems seriously inadequate. Growing natural variability, rapid warming biases, natural variability, rapid decarbonization, net zero are necessary to compelling of impending disaster. Any hazards can be addressed through adaptation to climate wars are unlikely. We do get Chelsea Crosby's constructive the churches 11. That's not highlighted. Okay. The second advantage. Gaslight disputes are inevitable. The plan cannot solve. The plan only results in the U.S. adopting a CBAM. Our evidence is that the U.S. and EU are fighting over the U.S.'s national security terrorists, which is Section 232, that the plan does not roll back, and green steel disputes are irresolvable. Harris 23. Nobody knows what green steel is. Green steel is a deeply political U.S. proposed average U.S. is on average lowers carbon potential to reduce part of the industry, including incentives for domestic trade, which opposite direction conventional blast furnace remains in Europe and shall stop when providing green steel use, maybe build production, bring down overall emissions for EU affairs. Favors distinction that distinguish blast and arc furnace are not with one single blast furnace, and gas that does not spill over. It is our evidence says that it only applies to one sector, because even if the plan is economy-wide, the Gaslight Agreement itself, which is what their evidence is about, that would catalyze, is about steel and aluminum, which means it's not a key form to discuss U.S.-EU cooperation over all other issues. Regardless, there's no impact to quote systemic risks or whatever the hell they think their impact is, because what AC Crosses was incoherent. Who uses bioweapons? What even is a scenario for escalation? That is nebulous. And the trust our evidence is that is continual hyper fear-mongering about systemic crisis, which is just a buzzword in place for you have no impact. Back to the first advantage, extend that marine biodiversity is resilient. Our evidence says that marine life survived the late Triassic extinction, which was an extinction level impact on all other species, but they are resilient because biodiversity is automatically spread throughout oceans.
Okay, are you good for cross-ex?
Yeah.
Okay, so the only reason why perm to both fails is because like the price would be set low initially?
And that would make it impossible to increase the price afterwards.
Right, is the counterplan alone sufficient to solve warming?
Well, our argument is like, since you've said every degree matters, it is important that the counterplan the counterplan would solve better than the permutation, because the perm is a weak price and industrial policy, whereas the counterplan is industrial policy, which then gets followed on by high price.
Is the industrial policy by itself sufficient to solve warming? Like if we don't extend a permutation and we just extend a deficit to the counterplan, should the judges like auto-presume?
It would solve a probabilistic scenario for warming. Like you've said that each degree matters, each has an infinite impact. So like, yeah, the counterplan would solve some amount of degrees. Obviously, excluding the permutation would solve more than that, and you've said that the impact of that is exponential.
But the counterplan by itself
I think like the way you frame warming is like, it's hard to say that something is quote sufficient since you said it's linear. So like the counterplan solves a lot.
So I understand that matters for like the DA to the perm, but if we win like a reason that the counterplan is bad for warming, we agree that by itself it's insufficient then to solve, right?
Well, the counterplan, like, will disagree with your solvency deficits, that's for sure, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, sure. The counterplan, you said that carbon pricing is both inevitable this decade and that the counterplan leads to carbon pricing. Would that inevitable price, absent the counterplan, be low?
Yes.
So these deficits are inevitable now?
What? Like, no, like, well, the plan, our argument is that the plan is what makes the carbon price low because it creates
like,
political opposition, which
okay.
then prevents the price from being
Judges,
and
just
we've
like
also read,
think about like the status quo, no AFF, no counterplan. You've said carbon price inevitable. Does that lead to lock-in? Yes or no?
what?
In the status quo, yes. With the counterplan, no.
Yeah.
The counterplan generates uniqueness for the price now will not be low, or the price in the future will not be low.
Is that
That was-
future price low without the counterplan?
Yes.
So how does the counterplan solve those future price increases, but the perm would not?
Because the only way to create the political momentum for future price increase is if the counterplan first invests in industrial policy that centers the political power in renewable and clean industries. Absent the counterplan, the price will remain low, which doesn't solve.
Gotcha. I think, or actually, nonpartisan review, are they the ones who decide how much subsidies get allocated?
Yeah, I mean, that's also partially decided by, like, is the tech working? But I guess that commission would be responsible for.
Okay, and who appoints the commission?
It's reviewed by the national academies and NGOs, so, like, it's not really, like, just a couple people.
Gotcha. Do you want pro?
Yeah, 1 second.
Oh, I just left that one over.
We won't look.
10 minutes. Okay, 902.
Okay. Okay. States. Trade. Disad. Elections. Tip cap.
I am once again not on the internet.
Wait. You're doing your
Perhaps
term
now.
costume a day late.
Okay, there we go. Got it.
Okay.
Wait, sorry. I messed up. Yeah, I'm really off the game.
Amateur hour.
I don't have an ID.
I got it.
Oh, what?
No, I just have to open it.
Oh, okay.
States, trade, election, dictat.
States, trade. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we? Kansas good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
States concede the permutation just as a combination multi-action fiat doesn't link but reject the argument of the team conditionality good. We get 2. 1. Negation theory. Roll the negatives to disprove the plan. Not defend when straight turning consequences is unpredictable because this says to not prove the plan is a good idea. Arbitrariness causes shifting. Goalpost 2. Night flexes for prevents like choice and adaptation. 2. AC tricks. Transference 3. Innovation. They cause risk aversion instead of experimentation. 4. Their impacts are notable. T and gateway and future case are inherently conditional. 5. Reject the argument of the team. 6. This book cultivate incentivizes process counterplans to salvage night flex because they force PERS BTA decide concede China recession now and no CCP collapse and concede no trade impact. If it is not a state to prevent war, it is not an effective state to prevent rogue terrorists who really want to use a nuke or bring people to the table on climate negotiations or whatever either elections. Concede no Trump foreign policy disaster, so we can't turn Dip count on this. Says there will be checks on BB and the status quo. The president is a crucial one. Harris will win anyway. One, experts agree. Our evidence cites James Carville, who is a skilled political strategist and analyzes empirical qualitative trends. 2, reject polls versus statistical. Ted Noyes, Silver 1023. Harris could be the postman. All polls by 4.5 Harris resulting conservative losing pollster. Putting models by citizen models. Always about how non-representative raw data polls are terrified of missing low on Trump assumptions that favor him or to favor him. 3, funding she raised $1 billion, which surpasses Trump. 4, losing streak. Republicans lost so much. The plan later still links to DipCap. 1, all the passages knocked down all fight. It sucks enormous political energy for the entire time that's formulated trade-offs kick in. Long before enactment, that's still talking for gosh. 2, Rice convinced them to immediacy adopt McGee. 18, the double dominating state final action rule the word expressly necessarily present associated rule should be certain immediate seller. 17, the award should has been mandatory by council should has to be met now, not later. Choose aspirational non-mandatory term. 3, key to NEG ground 1, 2, law any delay, no brown line stops the effort from doing it in 1,000 years. Kills politics and elections fightable for a workable state strategy, which the topic only functional limit makes uniqueness impossible. And the intention to do the plan will leak anyway, which will cause this huge fight. Simcap. 1, Israel roundabout escalation on ways Israel just struck around but carefully modulated targets to prevent to preserve an escalated escalation off ramp going further. Literally sets the Middle East on fire, Charleston global superpowers to drag military competition. That's Kylie in Oathman 2. It always on magnitude. They're the greatest test of humanity. Muhammad 1025 Israeli conflict could escalate to World War III. The greatest test of humankind. A global war could break out on its code in multiple countries. Tales might be shocked, but in the state capital we can't take out of the chance that this will solve itself. We have to get it resolved around secures bomb others will, and then it's a matter of time before these things are going off in major cities. 3, they dropped it around retaliate through unconventional means, including nuclear terror, which trains international relations. That's Kylie and Oathman. That cause great power war. Johnson 21 on state news trickery. Total catalytic war between nuke states, detonation movies, settlement of misperceptions, talking accidental exchange, dirty bomb theory, and multifaceted escalation between the US, China, Russia, India, Pakistan, and North Korea. Fog of war may generate fog of miscog may generate preemption. 4, I think escalation makes global climate diplomacy impossible. Turns both advantages. And Gupta and Taylor 23. I think it's important. Efforts to adjust climate change are caught a winding iron there, confident the Middle East and a fractured divided world. Raise prices to redirect our resource to wars instead of climate change fighting attempts to secure oil and gas. Rather than transition makes the next negotiations complicated to strike a global agreement on anything, including climate fracturing. Multilateralism, gas prices, eroding voter support for no renewable energy. Rich countries would find it harder to shift. 2EC1 is uniqueness. Holy shit, Batman, take some 2EC prep if you don't have any cards from the last 2 months. 1, Israel is being held back from escalation. We know for a fact restraint is working. It is why they took limited action against Iran, carefully avoiding oil, nuclear, and leadership facilities, but they're still considering further action they require active persuasion to be held back. That's Kylie 2. They are considering another bite of the apple. Diplomacy is working, but it has to be sustained quickly. 1026 Israel's on tax shops started all at war. Run avoid combating language of East fears after weeks of pressure from the U.S. to reduce the scope of attack. Israel avoided sensitive nuclear sites and oil facilities. Israel extends on military allowed around to project normality. Not with the play down the attack close to closest round. Some fear Israel setting the stage for a bigger strike. Temperature air defenses again is zero to attack in the future. The U.S. managed to restrain Yahoo for now. 3, pressure has succeeded. Biden was the only reason the strikes were limited. Hendricks and Morris had 26 from our signal willingness to strike around in the future. And the military race forward is a devastating blow with express hope. Attention to the east head of strikes. Biden pushed Israel publicly behind the scenes to avoid massive response. They can inflame wars. Officials that privately was decided to provide an offering because of U.S. political pressure that our president worked over weeks to encourage responsible targeted that precisely transpired. All of that means that it is not always on time frame because all of their impacts are long term and nebulous, and you can only die once. 2EC2 is no deal. 1, Israel Iran can be contained even if the ongoing proxy this is still 2EC1 can be contained even if the ongoing proxy conflict doesn't adjust. This is not our uniqueness argument at 1025. Blinken Sussex is preventing the war, expanding the officials' contest. The diplomacy battle was never realistic. Prevent Israeli retaliation. The Lord's attack in history. The situation will be far worse without push diplomacy. Shoot to short ceasefire and a release of hostages. By diplomacy for sort of wider regional war and prevented Israel around different exchanges being worse than the event. 2EC2 is Biden piecing low. 1, this card is for July. Does not assume Biden working on Israel. However, evidence says that works. 2, the plan is an enormous political firestorm. Biden specifically tried market-based countermeasures from the IRA because he knew he couldn't get them passed. The plan is received as going back to the well in a close chapter of his presidency. Trump did panic over the concept of climate change. Shares backlash on lefties. Backlash to market measures because they fear commodification. Let's go. Just like a cost. 3, trades off. He needs all hands on deck to manage the conflict. If he's simultaneously fighting a legislative battle, empirics prove Obama got derailed from the TVP by fighting a domestically done controversy. That's still linked to EC. 3 is Israel doesn't care and the U.S. solves. 1, Israel cares is clearly not our argument. 2, domestic policy trades off with international diplomacy. Minimally. I don't know. In fact, Biden's logic nuclear phase of from the campaign now is reallocated time and reserved for domestic policy to focus on foreign policy to leave it all on the field. Biden wanted to find wants to be consequential. Biden expect to Trump extensively overseas can dialogue with the world leaders saying them again before leaving office and has much more free time. 3, the diplomatic chain is extremely constrained. Nobody comment. 23, always live in policy visits if at any time there's only physical amount of policy energy. The system, if you're working one thing, you're spending less on other things. The decision making and diplomatic heavy lifting is done by a small group of Secretary of State and Undersecretary on National Security Advisor. The President, those people need sleep a day off. Their time and energy is not infinitely elastic. They're slicing all of that into Israeli peace. 2EC4 is ceasefire fails. Again, not our argument, and also from September. 2EC5 and 6 from Middle East events. 1, both of these cards are from a couple of days after October 7th, being like, surely this will not get worse. Newsflash. 2, past escalation was only contained because of active management by the U.S. sending 24 the U.S. is managing currency that they can escalate into war. The Middle East is not a powder keg. Now there are more fuses that could go off. The Middle East will strain U.S. U.S. foreign policy attention already playing out in Congress. The biggest news of rallies about the U.S. staying power, the U.S.'s dominant role as dominant power, preventing conflict from resulting in global warfare. Go back out to the no deal argument. There is a window of opportunity now. I got you at all 1026. This is all to AC1. Hopes for peace are being tested following the death of the War. Expressing potential is finally story over Jim Lucian Burger peace. There are hurdles exacerbated around the U.S. continues to navigate diplomatic waters with caution. Diplomatic efforts are expected with notable talks. Stories of frustration, wartime diplomacy will hinge on facilitating peace. So, the case, no comment, conflict, authors at 23 comment, increase the risk of conflict, the overall trend has been disruptive, comment, interstate conflict, comment may exacerbate, conflict, no controversial, comment is far from the most influential, driving conflict, the risk is also great on water, out of money, hundreds of incidents, won't find not a single instance of formal war.
That is on page 1 and marked at formal war, normal sentence.
Is that not the one that this wasn't highlighted?
Yeah, it's now highlighted. It's in the bottom.
Was it Thor's dad?
Yeah.
I think we, well, I know these cards by heart. Okay, 902.
Sounds a little teary-eyed.
No.
It's just a like a reference in the doc.
No, it's fine.
Just a piece.
That was never pretty good. It was just
418.
It's so cold.
It is frigid. We good for an order? I just sent the
I
letter.
didn't know. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
What'd you stop the time at?
418.
Minutes going again. Yeah, order's good.
Sorry, I accidentally made my timer take up half my screen.
Sorry. Well, at least you won't drop anything that way.
Did I give an order?
No.
One, two, counterplan, and then the Israel VA. Anyone not ready?
Good.
Warming cooks the planet, feedback loops like dieback, methane, and permafrost melt will cause self-perpetuating temperature increases, dropped even moderate warming triggers risk cascades like nuclear wars over geoengineering, disease, and infrastructure collapse. All existential adaptation is too slow, unreliable, and expensive. Their scaffetta evidence does not assume positive feedbacks, which cause self-perpetuating warming, does not say the word, and so his model excludes those which is indicted by name and Taylor into concede no bio-D impact, or their Thorstad card is short, marked early, and doesn't assume nuclear geoengineering wars, which creates disputes over sovereignty, advantage 2, not going for a concede, disputes are irresolvable, shakes out offense on the counterplan, the industrial policy counterplan. Perm do both. They drop double solvency as net benefit, and every increment matters. Here's the distinction. Time frame is key. The most charitable interp of their offense is that it gradually changes the political environment over time, but that's too little too late, because we'll boil in the interim. Every day we wait to do attacks gets closer to planetary extinction. Short-term emissions are self-perpetuating, so we need deep cuts now, not later. It shields the internal net benefit because it diffuses opposition to the plan. Coupling the AFF with sweeteners means the AFF creates a constituency for the price to be high, especially over time. It's the exact same warrant as their arg that the counterplan would motivate a price in the future. There's no warrant for lock-in of a low tax because then political constituencies would mobilize to increase it, and they've also dropped our answer to low carbon lock-in, that even renewables are being close to cost competitive, so it only needs a small tax to revolutionize the sphere. Fiat and increase to solve the plan is stringent and increases over time. It's about $25 and increases every year. If that seems new, they should have asked in cross-sex, because that's the answer we would have given. We get to clarify the plan via cross-sex and speeches, reject normal means interpretations. It's always arbitrary. The NEG will be self-serving, and the alternative is that we have to spec a price in the plan which causes penny less sophistry and means we never win. I'm going to answer follow-on at 0-1. The IRA disproves it was an industrial policy, yet support for carbon pricing hasn't even budged. 2, its opposition to a tax is politically ingrained, starting with subsidies is not a magic wand. Fossil interests would fight it to the death, and especially in light of our subsidies deficits. We conceded the election link. It's a death sentence for every incumbent. GC Eccles says it has 0 support. At best, it takes forever. Their Apol evidence isn't about America and is dated. The next card doesn't say the word tax, and their pricing inevitable card is from a registered dietitian, not qualified independently. Low prices solved, that's above. Our tune evidence says that, especially given fiat, it increases over time, and the plan being stringent and economy-wide, $30 is good enough, especially in the short term. Reject their definitions. We get to clarify what the plan means because we're AF perm to the counterplan to anything that sets a price. There's no impact to rendering that non-competitive, and our plan does mandate a high price because we say it does. Now, subsidies fail. 1, international emissions drop. BCA key from the state's counterplan. Absent some stake, other countries will free ride. No tech diffusion. Junk 21. Data on R&D and trade of environmental goods for 32 countries shows efficiency, sensitivity, sensitive versus dual offense, exploitation, critique. First basic security division would actually put its own nation's favorite international coordination paradigm. Technical development is needed to AF to address global environmental crisis. That actually means the AF alone solves infinitely more than the counterplan because even a low price accesses international solvency, but the counterplan cannot. The incentive for other countries to keep the CT revenue in their own treasury, so it's not about price stringency. That's Clark 2. It cannot solve consumption. People care about prices of commodities like gas. This is an impact turn to the exact reason the counterplan is more popular than the AF. There are tons of emissions vectors that are only latently addressed by warming. Ace point subsidies only impact new vehicles. The AF prices old gas guzzlers. That's when you see Marshall 2. Or B is subsidies can price locked-in gas and coal utilities that are more profitable even with the counterplan. C is trillions of daily consumer decisions. When you see one-year Scheiser and Marshall 24 subsidies touch only the new market efficiently. Carbon taxes affect behavior. They encourage drive fewer miles, conserve fuel, and alternative transport maneuvers. Studies confirm fuel demand is sensitive to attack. Unlike subsidies, taxes come out of pockets of polluters, not people who take buses, trains, bicycles for the sake of the planet's over. Carbon tax marginal abatement doesn't delay system transformation. The counterplan only reduces a tiny fraction of emissions. Nordhaus 22. Even subsidies of 50% with zero carbon price have a reduction of only 17%. The inefficiency of subsidies fundamental policies are due to treat carbon with precision. Tax targets high carbon commercial subsidies for green activities and with lower emissions, but in a manner that not targeted. Tyranny wrong. Renewables only replace fossil fuels if they're cheap. Yes, but many people are low information and only respond to sticks, not carrots. That's when you see Scheiser list them as wrong. Pricing does cause system level changes as per above. It does not say that subsidies reach consumer emissions. That also applies to Rosenblum, which is just lock-ins again. Lastly, the AFF does it BCA and the counterplan does it. So we solve global consumption. That's real DA. Warming outweighs it's the only impact that causes every existential risk at once. The squo is unsustainable. We turn their disad because warming makes the Middle East uninhabitable and it causes geopolitical conflict via water and food scarcity. Can't turn the case. It requires that they win the DA. The plan solves without climate diplomacy because our internal link is economic coercion, not just some abstract concept of climate diplomacy. Iran retaliation in the overview is not dropped. It's answered by Chuisi Pollock, which says that they have economic and military incentives to always do measured retaliation. I'm gonna first extend impact defense because it's important. No Middle East war. Their answers suck. No actor has an interest in a wider war. Israel has its hands full with Gaza. Iran has a flagging economy. Hezbollah and Hamas are busy rebuilding, especially given their argument that they always do calibrated strikes. These factors are not a product of U.S. management, which answers their only card. All major interests want to avoid war in every instance. White and Clary 24. The U.S. backed Israel. China and Russia back Iran, but a regional war would unlikely draw any response from China and Russia. Like the USA have a preference for escalating to a war. Russia would focus on Ukraine. China wants its life. Most want to avoid war at all costs. No Middle East war. 23. Israel and Hamas may increase but unlikely military action by major countries either Saudi, the Emiratis, or Turkey. These are joint economic growth and seeking emerging role in international affairs. The elections to risk these for an extensive confrontation to structural world markets. Normalization by Abraham Accords will not vanish. The link is a joke. Obviously, the United States federal government is segmented. If Biden is really that effective in restraining Israel, then he can just send people that will negotiate for him. Biden has a State Department. The government is compartmentalized because that's how it fucking works. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Their political capital evidence is not applicable. It is about there's a difference between diplomatic capital and political capital. There's no reason why Israel cares about a carbon tax domestically. Okay, going to read more No Middle East war.
Sure.
Nothing ever happens. K22. States are realigning Saudi, the UAE, and Turkey began offering regional wars as AT escalate conflict with Iran amid the pandemic and calm down towards wars or unsustainable states begin normalizing relations. America increases concern of Iran. Partners nonetheless kept the Tory agreement even staunchest in Saudi.
Okay. 7754.
the industrial policy counterplan, the warming advantage. Okay. Everyone good? Israel-Iran war certainly outweighs on both magnitude and time frame. The situation is extremely tense now, and the momentous updates are occurring daily. So it is try or die to prevent, or it is try or die, and time for outweighs because the Biden needs to impose leverage on Israel to prevent escalation. Russia and China are seeking to expand their influence in the region and offering support for Iran, which complicates the geopolitical landscape. And they're already fighting proxy wars, and the economies are interconnected. So there's a high risk of escalation because the region could disrupt oil, which causes an incentive to escalate that turns their resource wars argument. Also outweighs climate on time frame because they haven't identified how long it takes for the Middle East to become literally uninhabitable, and all of our defense on the case proves diplomacy. And yes, it does turn climate, even if their argument is coercion. They made an international emissions deficit on the counterplan, so they have to win the AFF solves international emissions. But our evidence is that climate or in Israel escalation prevents cooperation over climate and countries' ability to focus on tech innovation, diffusion, and decreasing their climate vulnerabilities, which proves that it is preventing Israel-Iran war is a prerequisite to solving international emissions. Also, they dropped the one-hour nuclear terror impact, which is an independent venue for escalation. Non-state actors will weaponize nuclear weapons, which cause extinction because escalates and draws in the U.S. and nuclear powers because they are concerned about deterrence within the region, which escalates. No new two-year arguments dropped in the one-hour and scratch any new two-year arguments off your phone or circumvents all of their Middle East defense because terrorists are non-state actors who can retain the same economic or military diplomatic relationships that deter escalation. And I can't see your slide, guys. Deter escalation, which incentivizes, which proves that Middle East will escalate. Never mind. Impact defense is genuinely ludicrous. One is framing issue recency. All their cards are years old or just a few days after October 7th, saying surely this will not get bigger. Newsflash: we should not trust those idiots. Too. Israel can't escalate. They restrained the response to Iran, but wanted to strike Iran's nukes and energy production sites when posing an existential threat to Iran. That's highly you should frame this with a pile of evidence that we read about our scenario that says the U.S. was the only successful restraint on all-out war this time, which answers to what they're saying. Stuff like Hezbollah is 4-3. Broader strike causes global conflagration. It draws in proxies like the U.S., China, and Russia of oil and a lens interest, which was above our evidence, analogizes it to the Cold War, and then says it is the greatest threat to humanity and produces, quote, World War III. That's often in one in our Muhammad 4. No empirics past crisis restraint only because the U.S. maintains successful diplomacy is, quote, the biggest concern in the area that's sustaining the evidence that answers, quote, they always do calibrated strikes. Our evidence says that in this conflict they only did calibrated strikes because Biden successfully restrained them. 5, in fact, concede to AC Job 23. It says the United States has capacity to limit disruption in the region. That is our link argument. 6, quote, Israel has its hands full. It's not an argument. Israel views Iran as an existential threat to security. In fact, that it struck during the Gaza war disproves its argument. 7, the one-year white evidence answers Russia trying to draw in the answers to Russia trying to draw in. You should strike it. It is new and was flagged. Our impact was flagged in 1 and C. And this is some guy rattling off on a podcast that says that China doesn't want to escalate. Our argument is that they would intervene after Israel escalated. 8, one-year Dutch. This says Saudi, the UAE, and Turkey will escalate. That is not our scenario that matters because we read an Israel strikes to said not a generic Middle East instability. To said 9, the one-year K evidence is also not about Israel's 2 years old. The 10, the Tracy Pollock evidence says the same issue. It says that Iran and Hezbollah will not escalate. Yes, there is a link saying that the DOS exists is not an answer to the substance of our argument, which is that Biden is specifically he's negotiating with Netanyahu because they're immersed in negotiations now, and he and one and our uniqueness evidence says that Netanyahu is specifically listening to what Biden requests of him. They have dropped the thesis of the link, which is that market-based instruments are uniquely controversial and cause enormous political firestorm. The reason why Biden has avoided market-based climate measures is because he knew he couldn't get the passive plan, cost an immense amount of his attention and time. Yes, they are interconnected because Biden is just one person, even if they're called different things. Foreign and diplomatic capital, he needs to all hands on deck to manage the conflict, and they have dropped a uniqueness argument that Biden's focus there is necessary in fights over the domestic agenda. SAP foreign policy communications, which is the one in our Liptuck evidence. They say PC isn't DipCap. That is our argument because the only choice you had read on this was about political capital. No escalation was answered. Above. Okay, count. Concede the perm, not a test of competition, but also concede that time frame outweighs, which is our argument for why the dissent outweighs warming. No, they do not. Does not solve every circumvention argument is offense because we've we've inserted every single piece of 1AC card that says that the 1AC their price at $25 a low price would be insufficient, and normal means it's a low price that is $2 to $12. Or did I say the perm is a test of competition? Whatever, it is a test of competition. $2 to $12. Their Marshall evidence says that $30 is insufficient, and the Litterman evidence says that $40 is key. They don't get to fiat clarifications. That is a terrible model to make negs are forced to prepare to tune our political economy determines whether the carbon tax is good or bad. A high carbon tax might link more to economy but solve warming better. A low carbon tax might shield the electricity, makes susceptible to elections better. It changes the game of net ground and forces the NEG to do guesswork until the 2AC clarified. They didn't even say increasing until the 1AR, which proves our offense. They don't get to capture both benefits. A smaller price would not be counterpoint would not be competitive in a vague plan and not specifying their price means that they have conceded that a low price could be a way the plan could be done, and all of our political economy arguments for that is how it's done. They certainly don't get to say increasing because it's not in the plan text. We've read evidence that's significant means absolutely nothing. No, the carbon tax does not build build support over time. Our argument isn't that solving climate solves because the fact that the plan manifests in a low tax proves that it cannot solve climate, and the public is thinking about price stability because consumers want price stability. Empirics prove the UK and France had to roll the entire tax back. Clarifying doesn't solve. It would not have solved even if they clarified immediately. The plan text shapes one and see construction pre-run to predeterminate preparation and expectation. A vagueness based on the text itself discourages specific strategies from ever being written or introduced in the process. It's also not a reliable source of competition. Competition would not allow for the spec pick because they dropped up saying increasing the plan text solves their arguments. And all the arguments about why the counterplan is insufficient are now solving the deficits of the app because if we win that the price is too low, then it proves they cannot solve the climate advantage. There's not a risk of warming. There's not a risk of warming. First is that the IPCC confirms alarmistic scenarios are unrealistic for the next century. Warming will be extremely slow. That's SCAFETA 2 models are imprecise. They get contaminated by non-climate factors like urban heat islands and natural heat variability. That's SCAFETA defense to warming is also defense to warming cause wars because it raises the threshold for whether or not war will escalate if we win. That climate is not that does not cause exacerbated conditions. That there's no incentive for war, but there's also no risk of climate wars. What was the one on about? The one he fails to control F test for quote nuclear geoengineering. The one in our force and evidence is that statistical study of hundreds of conflict that says resource conflicts are declining and states are not likely to go to war over climate is longer than all of their courts and science PhDs.
Where can I find Kylie and Offman?
Other ones. First and fourth card.
Try to get.
The only thing we have to win is that the status quo is unsustainable. To win this debate, the DA is some defense to conflict escalation, but there are too many pathways to extinction from warming to accept the nebulous risk of a DA to try or die to solve warming. Forest dieback, permafrost, and ocean methane bombs will accelerate even faster than humans can adapt and react to. It's quick and turns the best version of the DA by making nuclear war in the Middle East inevitable. For resource-induced conflicts from acidification, since the global south is reliant on marine food sources, greenhouse state is coming now. Solvency is exponential the more we beat back on their defense of the counterpoint. Given the scale and intensity of how bad it could get, the 2 hours is just a re-articulation of these old defensive cards, but those are insufficient. First, Taylor from the 1EC says the IPCC is a conservative organization that ignores both tail end risks of warming and the ability for it to become self-perpetuating. Eventually, we will hit a methane bomb and then permafrost that will cook the entire planet alive. All of the IPCC not confirming alarmist scenarios are because they ignore them, not because they're actually unrealistic. Models are not imprecise. There's Confederate evidence. There's a total hack. It ignores the permanent feedbacks or evidence says that there is self-perpetuation risk to warming, that their evidence explicitly doesn't take into account the reason that their model says that there's no impact to warming is also because they ignore these risks. That doesn't mean that they're a low probability, but rather they ignore them because they think they're cooked their models. That's a reason that warming could become exponential and extreme and very fast. Yes, incentive for war, but one year is not on about nothing. We do not fail the test for nuclear geoengineering. You must have spelled the word wrong. States are have an incentive to deploy geoengineering in the global south, particularly because they fear that their countries will be on the front line of the transition in the world where warming becomes self-perpetuating. They think that it will cause their country to be overrun with inevitable extreme weather that destroys their ability to grow food or to grow food and destroys all of their infrastructure. They will deploy geoengineering and attempt at self-preservation, but that ignites off nuclear war because of political tensions over sovereignty and the ability to blame other countries for weather effects in the region. IP counterplan, reject all of this normal means nonsense. The plan is a high, stringent, and increasing carbon tax. We get to clarify what the plan does through cross-ex and speeches because we're AFF and they could have asked in cross-ex. Lots of teams have judged us and asked what the price is, and we always give the answer $25 and increase by $25 every year, which means the tax goes to 100 within 4 years and 150 within 6. But they didn't ask us what our price is because they wanted to interpret the plan in the most self-servingly manner possible. We also have a normative justification for clarifying ambiguous plans. The alternative is penny less. It gives the DEG infinite picks out of specific price. They'll always be able to come up with some reason the price should be 1 cent lower. This is the best topics for NEG ground in years. The oil is low-key goaded, and now the single DEG position we've gone for relies on P-spec. The first argument at the top of the debate is concede time frame outweighs. This is not what we said. Our argument was time frame of warming solvency outweighs because of the magnitude of warming risks. Why is it that every damn school in the country has figured out the palatable case negs like the carbon tax apps for like oil and econ, except for Dartmouth that seems happy to turn process counterparts into garbage DAs. The price of $25 is not insufficient. It's rising over time. That results in a tax like $200 within 8 years. All of our evidence should not be instructive of the plan. There are examples of the way the plan could be done, but none of these prices alone define the app. The Truenar lacks comprehensive offense about the necessity of normal means, whereas we have offense about why it will be horrible for the day to get this dissolved. They don't get to fiat clarifications as terrible. Plan vagueness is good on the carbon tax topic because we are like, I don't know, a goddamn carbon tax. Fiat is also the only way to solve anything. The recent past taxes suck is because they aren't actually what people advocate for in the literature. Spiking out of links to all of our offense is not what we do. Rather, we can just only permute counterpoints that specify prices. We will not spike out of your links by saying the price is low. And if we do, that probably means the gap doesn't freaking solve anything. Not specifying means that we have. It doesn't mean we've conceded the low price is the only way the plan can be done because we said that it's increasing every year. Doesn't have to be in the plan text. Significant might not mean anything in terms of the increasing in terms of the initial monetary value, but they have not read a piece of evidence that says it cannot be increasing in the future. It does solve climate change. A low tax is efficient. Our 1 year chun evidence double dropped twice says that even if you start low, it will increase over time, and eventually corporations will react to that and increase low carbon innovation in response to the plan. And consumers wanting price stability is not a reason they should be low. That's a reason that you get the politics DA, but not a reason that you should be able to say the plan doesn't solve anything. The plan, they might shape 1 and C preparation. However, your preparation should be based on the econ and oil DA. Nothing about this normal means garbage nonsense. It does not discourage specific case negative strategies from being written because you only need the basis of the plan being a carbon tax. There are plenty of granular distinctions after that, like whether the AFF is a BCA or how they say they solve warming, none of which are necessary for normal means competition. Saying increasing the plan might solve other arguments, but then it loses to the decreasing counterplan, or the counterplan increase it at a lower rate. If that is good, then obviously, or if they say that exists under their model, then this whole increasing thing of the plan demonstrates that saying just significant carbon price in the plan should allow the affirmative to specify later in their speeches. If we win the price is low, they might be able to solve, but you obviously won't be able to do that. Israel DA, there is absolutely no impact to this DA. It is absolutely ridiculous that there's some kind of tension that exists now that will inevitably boil over into an inevitable tipping point. Russia and China having interest in the region is a reason why they don't want to blow up the entire region. Already fighting proxy wars is a reason they will continue to defer to proxies and pay them off to fight their wars for them. There is zero tension that exists between when our impact defense cards were written and now that says that it is absolutely necessary for Biden's diplomacy to prevent a wider war in the Middle East. What is it? Their evidence says the tensions are on the brink, but they've apparently been on the brink since October 7th of 2023, and nothing ever happens. All of our internal link evidence is about tech diffusion, so they can't turn the case. Preventing cooperation doesn't matter because we economically coerce other countries. They might be caught up in a war in the Middle East in the absolute worst version of the disadvantage, but they still have an economic economic and budgetary interest in pricing carbon to overcome the ability of the plan to incur a price for not internalizing those externalities. The whole thing about nuclear terrorism, I will talk about this now. The one arrow said their internal link to all of these overview impacts is Iranian retaliation, which all of our cards say won't happen. It's unexplained, our warns about escalation aversion, and each actor wanting economic stability applies here as well. It requires extremely risky Iranian retaliation, and that's especially true for nuclear terror. How would that even happen? Does Iran give a proxy a nuke? Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. It's a nonsense scenario. Here's another thing. They literally did not read an internal link to this. One NC Kelly says Iran might conduct guerrilla operations. That is not a nuclear terror attack. Obviously, we get to point this out because they made an incomplete argument, and anything else would incentivize reading floating impacts without internal links and hoping your opponent drops one. No cards as terrorists can get a nuke or want one. It's just an impact detonation if it happens. Now, our evidence are not people on a podcast. They are PhD professors of international relations and former U.S. Department of State officials. Our one AR piece of evidence says that there is zero incentive to escalate in the region because they have economic interest in not wanting to blow up the region up. Our evidence says that the reason that tensions have not escalated in the past is because they know that the conflict is germane and only intrinsic to the Israel-Hamas war. Israel striking other countries is the reason they will adopt limited retaliation. That's not because Biden stepped in and was like, please be nice to one another. It's because they just have no incentive to absolutely nuke the hell out of each other. Okay. Despite the tagline level claims of tensions are close to boiling over, they have to generate some kind of new reason why the geopolitical situation is close to boiling over now. Okay, 12 seconds. Anything else you want?
No neg fiat.
Good debate.
Anyway.
Okay, alright.